Hi everyone, this is Balazs from RacingBrick. Last week you could see my detailed building reviews of all 10 LEGO Speed Champions Formula 1 cars that will be released in March. Today I'm showing you them all together, going through the key differences and similarities, taking a closer look at the stickers and prints, looking at the minifigures and comparing the cars to the Speed Champions F1 sets from previous years and also to these two F1 sets from CaDA and Rastar. There's a lot to talk about, so let's get started, but a little disclaimer before we begin. We are comparing the LEGO Speed Champions F1 sets with those from other brands. Now, I know you all have your favorites and that's okay. Just remember that this is a review of toy cars and not a battlefield. I am sharing my personal opinion based on my building experience. If you don't agree with me, no worries. People are perfectly capable of forming their own opinions without being influenced by anyone or any company. There are personal preferences and not everything is the result of marketing or persuasion. Please respect each other in the comment section and try to be constructive in your criticism. Please comment on the set, not on the person. So, let's see all the cars together first. I think they look very cool like this. All 10 cars of the 2024 season, that's an impressive collection. The sheer quantity and low profile might be a challenge if you want to display them, as they don't show much on the shelf. I may have a solution for that, which you could already see here. I will get into the details in a moment. The front of the cars up to the wheels is more or less the same. The Haas and the Sauber have a rounded tile at the tip instead of the cheese slope. There are two different solutions for the floor fence, but the way it is supported and the inlets behind it are mostly different. Some assemblies look better than others, some are more stable than others. The parts used for the halo are the same on all cars. On most of them, the small clip piece sits in a hole, except on the two Red Bull cars. The other almost identical section is the rear wing. The main structure is used on all cars. The decoration and the fuel pieces are different. The parts that mimic the center support have more variation. The rear wheel support is also the same on all cars, although the parts between the axles are already different. The middle sections, on the other hand, including the underside of the car, are as unique as possible. I think it's no small feat to build a Formula 1 car in 10 different ways. I can easily imagine that it was a challenge or a competition for the designers. I enjoyed building most of them. There were some very innovative building techniques used, so the overall impression was certainly positive, but in some cases I didn't really understand the design decisions. I've already mentioned the flat rear section of these cars in the previous videos. I understand that this section can be as sleek as the real cars, but I'm still not the biggest fan of this variant. I'm also concerned about the design of the camera pod. The part used is difficult to align properly and can be knocked off easily. I'm not going to start comparing all the specific details with the real cars. That would take forever, and the cars have also changed over the course of the season anyway. One thing we can check is the color accuracy, because that was something I talked about regarding last year's sets. I think most of the cars are fine. Some people said Red Bull should be darker, but there isn't a darker shade of blue in the LEGO color palette. The only car that really stands out for me is the Aston Martin, just like last year. The color of the real car is so different from this green, I wish they had tried something else. I've seen custom builds using dark turquoise parts. I think that fits better. What about the prints? The cars have a different print to sticker ratio, as I've noticed that the more popular end of the range seems to have more printed pieces, but also more sponsors overall. The print quality is fine for the most part, but I found two areas where improvement is definitely needed. The first is the alignment of the prints on the wheel covers. The full surface prints seem to work better, but others, like this one, or especially this one, are very off-center. It's easy to tell without turning the wheels. The other thing that is very interesting is the printing on the rear lights. There's a spare of these in each set, so you get two and you can put the one on the car that looks better. I collected the spares here. There are some very crooked ones. This needs to be fixed by LEGO quality control. And now for the drivers. We have generic minifigures, no personalization here on the cars, which is a big missed opportunity. LEGO representatives said at the Las Vegas reveal that they decided not to include the drivers because they change teams fairly frequently and these sets will be available for more than a year. That sounds reasonable, but there's a catch. If you look at the name of the sets, these are very specifically the 2024 cars, so it would have been perfectly logical to include the drivers from that season. I don't think there were that many changes last year. Well, instead we got generic minifigures with male and female heads. They are fine, although this hat has a double face and the hairpiece doesn't cover it, it looks quite odd. Maybe the prints are more simple because the drivers are sitting in the cars anyway and they are not so visible. Well, we have a solution for that too. I usually keep my Speed Champion sets in these drawers because I just don't have enough space to display them, but I wanted to see the F1 cars together. 3D printing to the rescue. We designed a custom stand for the Speed Champions F1 cars. It can be printed in place and folds out easily when finished. The cool custom design matches the sleek lines of the Formula 1 cars and just looks great. This section slides into the holes in the base of the car and you can even adjust the angle to your liking. And of course there are 2 studs at the front for the driver. And the best part, the files are available for free on MakerWorld. If you have a Bamboo printer, it's super easy to print even from your phone, but you can also download the files for other printers. You can find the link in the description and in the pinned comment as well. Oh, and they also work with the 2024 F1 cars, so please try them out if you find them useful and let us know how it went. Okay, now that they are here, it's time to do the comparison with the previous LEGO Speed Champions F1 sets. Here are the McLaren and Aston Martin cars from 2024 and the Mercedes from 2022. These were the F1 cars released in the 8-stud wide era. The development is clearly visible with the Mercedes. I know that the original cars have also changed a lot, but the part usage and the detailing have improved a lot since then. There is one thing in this set that we can miss this year. The driver's number was still there, it could be customized and the minifigure had much more detailed print, including on the legs. What about the cars from last year? There are already many similarities. We had the printed wheels, although 4 identical ones. The design of the front wing is practically the same. The slope for the nose cone was replaced by a curved one, which I think was a good decision. The custom front suspension with the deflectors is a big improvement, and I'm really glad they didn't keep the angled support here because it's super fragile and you knock those pieces off every time you grab the car. It's also interesting to see how similar these 2 cars were structurally. Just look at the underside and how different all 10 cars are this year in comparison. And now the other comparison many of you have been waiting for. Here are the CaDA Sauber F1 Team C44 and the Rastar Oracle Red Bull RB19 cars. These are also fully licensed. I have a detailed review of them on my second channel, you can find the link below. The first thing you may notice is the difference in scale. These 2 cars appear to be slightly larger than the LEGO versions. They are advertised as 1/24 scale, although the Red Bull is somewhat bigger. According to the manuals, the LEGO cars are 25 studs long and 10 studs wide. Meanwhile, we are still in the 8-stud era of Speed Champions. I did this quick assembly for validation. Well, these are slightly longer and somewhat narrower. Why did I try to check the scale and dimensions? Well, the first thing you notice about these cars are the much larger wheels. I have done my best to calculate the proportions and dimensions, but the exact measurements of the real F1 cars are not known, and of course these are not super accurate either, but from my calculations the wheels at this scale on these 2 cars are much more accurate than the ones on the LEGO cars. These would be slightly too big for them, but they are still closer to the correct size at this scale. Unfortunately, you can't swap the wheels because both cars have axle holes in the rims, so the wheel would be fixed and it wouldn't really fit anyway. Now for the prints and stickers. As I said in the detailed review, I'm not a fan of the stickers on the Rastar Red Bull. Many of them are spread across multiple pieces and I had to put a sticker on the flex tube, which is practically impossible to apply properly. The CaDA set, on the other hand, is fully printed and even has a few tricks with some full surface prints that were on extra supports in the box. We also have proper parts for both drivers and 2 nice plugs that come with the car. The print quality is very good, the car looks great and it really makes the building process smoother. As for the custom molded parts, the CaDA set has a halo designed for the set that looks pretty cool and rear view mirrors as well. The LEGO set could have made a good use of the halo. The mirrors are just a small detail, but I think the front suspension and deflectors look great on this one. And of course, we have minifigures in the LEGO sets that are not present in these 2 boxes. By the way, the boxes. A funny little detail for Red Bull, even though there are no figures inside, they still managed to put the 2 drivers of the 2023 season on the box. The area where the LEGO sets still win in my opinion is the design and structure. These 2 are just more interesting builds with more sophisticated techniques. The Rastar Red Bull is pretty simple and I found no excuse for this solution here on the nose. The CaDA set has a couple interesting solutions, though I found this assembly to be very easy to knock off, and also this here. As for the quality of the parts, they were fine for the most part. The Red Bull has loose wheels and the halo doesn't want to stay in place. On the CaDA set I had one defective piece and one was replaced with a similar part. Price-wise, I bought these two for almost exactly the same amount as the recommended retail price of the LEGO F1 sets. Yes, I know you can get them much cheaper, but they've been on the market for a while now, and if you look at the prices of the Speed Champion sets from last year at other retailers, these will soon be available in a similar price range too. All in all, if I had to choose between these two sets, I would go for the LEGO Red Bull car. But in this case, despite the more interesting building experience and the custom elements on this side, I'm in favor of choosing the CaDA set because of the overall look with the prints and the cool parts. Having a fully printed car seems to be a big plus for a lot of people, and it's quite an achievement from CaDA, but in the meantime I have to point out that we are talking about a single model here that probably has the fewest sponsors in the whole range. While I'm sure many people would like to see the same from LEGO, but I still don't think it would be reasonable to expect a full Formula 1 range with more than 300 different custom printed elements. Last year, LEGO released about 1,000 new printed pieces that were not minifigures. That means that the requirement for 10 fully printed F1 cars would increase the production of printed pieces with a whopping 30%, and that is only for 10 sets. So let's sum it up. I think the Speed Champions Formula 1 lineup we are getting this March has improved on previous year's cars. They look great together, and the designers have really focused on creating a diverse building experience. On the other hand, we still have a lot of stickers to put on each car, so I wouldn't recommend building all the cars at once, as it could get frustrating after a while. I like the printed wheels with the different sizes front and rear. I wish they were a bit bigger too. The new front suspension piece is definitely cool. Maybe in a few years we could get something similar for the rear. And I hope the drivers will be properly represented too. So, do we need all 10 F1 cars? I think the answer is yes. In previous years, when only 1 or 2 F1 cars were selected, many people missed their favorites. Now everyone can buy what they feel like, collectors can buy them all, and no, I don't think they took all the 2025 Speed Champions production slots. We've already heard some rumors about other cars. Buying all 10 cars already costs a hefty sum, but I've seen them on pre-order at some retailers for 21 euros, which means you can have all 10 cars for the price of this one. It's certainly big, but from a building experience perspective, this collection offers a lot more. So folks, that's it for the Speed Champions Formula 1 cars. Now it's up to you to let us know what you think of the sets. Let's talk about them in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe with notifications, because more exciting LEGO videos are coming soon. See you next time, bye bye.